What's up, Footer Nation? Gary Hootenholla here, and welcome to another episode of the NYBS radio show, right here from the great state of New York. I am super stoked today because we have our boys from Manimal Research back, and I can't wait to hear what they've been up to these past couple months. If you remember correctly, we had them back on our radio show when we were on Blog Talk, and now that we're live and on StreamYard and giving it right to you live time, we brought them back in because I'm sure they've been busy, and there's always a lot to talk about when it comes to Bigfoot. So Wayne, Jasper, what up, my man?
How's it going, buddy? How you been?
I'm good, and we cannot forget the Cryptopunkologist, Kenney, who's hidden right now, but he is hiding. But, my boy Kenney's back also, so it's nice to have you all back. Like I say, it's been a while.
Yeah, it sure has. We're excited to be here, buddy. Glad you reached out and asked us to come back.
Oh, of course. You guys are part of the NYBS family. Super important, working together in the field, especially with good people, good-minded people. That's our motto at the end of the day. So we're all out there doing the work, and that's what matters. So what have you guys been up to? Anything down in the southern? So tell us about yourself first for the new people that haven't met you guys yet.
All right. Yeah. My name's Wayne. Obviously, I am the CEO and the founder of Manimal Research. We been in existence for a couple years now, a year and a half, somewhere 18 months, somewhere in there. I decided to start the group after I decided to get involved in Bigfoot research and looked into joining some other existing groups, some of the bigger name groups that are out there. I won't mention any names, but we all know. And just saw a lot of animosity, a lot of ego, things like that that I wasn't real crazy about. So I just decided to go out on a limb and start my own. And one of the first people I got in touch with was Derek Jasper Walls down there, who is also hiding from us. And he jumped right on, has been with me ever since. He is my partner in crime. And yeah, we get out in the woods. We do investigations ourselves, conduct our own research. We do a live podcast similar to what you guys are doing. We do it every Monday night. It's Manimal Research. You can find us on YouTube there. We just hit our 1,000 subscribers. So it's a little, yeah, thank you. It's a milestone that we've been looking to get, and it took us exactly to the day. It took us 1 year.
That's awesome.
Yeah, within just a couple of minutes of rolling over to a year, we hit that 1,000 mark. So yeah, it's a really big deal for us. So but yeah, man, every week we go live on Monday nights at 9 o'clock. We interview other researchers. We've had Gary and Kenney on the show. Had Kenney on a couple times actually, and we also interview eyewitnesses because we believe that what we're doing, what Gary and Kenney and Derek and myself, what all us researchers are doing, as far as boots on the ground research, we definitely believe that is important and needs to be done. But what we think at Manimal is almost equally as important is talking to people that have seen them, that have witnessed their behavior. Because until we have a specimen, until we have a live specimen, we're not going to know how these things act in the wild. So it's important to talk to people that have witnessed them, habituators, people like that. Yeah, so every week we have someone like that on our show. But yeah, that's just a little rundown of what we do. Walls, you got anything to add to that, buddy?
Not really, man. You kind of covered all that. Pretty much on point. So I mean, not really much. I mean, other than we go out and be safe and try to work to stick together. So you pretty much took the cake on that one.
No, and that's awesome. And like I said, that's what it's all about is, being in the woods, doing the work at the end of the day, there's my boy Kenney. Hi, Kenney. So, doing the work, talking to these people. These people need an outlet of like good people to talk to. And Kenney just disappeared. And that's what we're here for, for those kind of things is, these people are nervous to talk about these things. And it's good that, there's people like you guys out there, that can, you can report to, and, kind of make sense of the Bigfoot phenomena.
Yeah, absolutely. Very, very well put. Agree with you 100%.
There we go. We got Kenney back. There we go.
All right.
So, you good?
I shared it until
awesome.
Facebook cut me off again.
Damn Facebook. Damn Facebook.
So.
That's what happened.
What did we do before Facebook, guys?
I have no idea. It's crazy to think about that, right? MySpace. Yeah. MySpace.
Yeah.
You could have music on MySpace if you remember correctly. You could make your own music intro and everything.
I never had a MySpace, so I don't know.
Oh
you
man.
You could also rate like certain people and stuff. You could be like, this is my top friend for this week.
Yep.
So,
for real.
I never made top friend with anybody, so I hated MySpace.
Dang.
You can be my top friend, Kenney.
Nice. I didn't even on my own MySpace page. I never made my top friend, so it didn't allow me to put it in. So that's all right.
As we sit here and share our age, everybody, what's going on? But all right, so let's get right to work. So, what do you guys think when it comes to Bigfoot? Like, what is your take on what Bigfoot possibly is?
You want to go ahead, Walls?
Yeah, I guess so. Well, mine's basically the same way. I think it's. I believe it's human. I believe it's a species of a type of human. As same as Wayne, probably can't speak. I can't say it.
There
you go.
Such a long word.
I think it's something like that, and it's I wouldn't say it's undiscovered. I think it's undiscovered by certain humans, certain people. I think I do believe it's been discovered by the government because there's too many laws out there protecting them. It's just certain things are fishy, but I believe it's half human. I believe it has the mindset as a human, but probably maybe a lot smarter than us, because he can stay and hide and go seek. Obviously, you can't. It's hard to find them. So, man, that's. I'm pretty much on the same point with anybody else. I believe it's half human. I think it's a human species that's just not been pushed out there.
Yeah.
Hey, Gary. Hey, guys. I gotta jump off. I just got a message here. I gotta make an emergency call. So.
All right, man. You do you.
I will try to come back on. If for some reason I'm unable to, guys, thanks for coming on the show. This doesn't normally happen, but I got to jump off here. So
all right, buddy. Do what you gotta do, buddy.
All right,
do you.
Thanks, guys.
Real life. Later, my man.
Bye.
So, all right. So, yeah, we're on the flesh and blood side also with that spirit. Now, here's a good, I want to bring this up because now I got two, researchers on from another team. So they have all these nice, documentaries. You can go on Amazon Prime and watch millions of documentaries on Bigfoot itself, which is great. Some of them are great and some of them are, whatever. So, but we have the teams that are out there trying to shoot one. Okay. And they make the argument of we need to have a body for science. Okay. In order for science to even come forward, because to say that this species exists, things like that. What would be your, and I just watched this yesterday, another one on this. What would be your take on, bringing, studying them in their habitat, kind of like a Jane Goodall type situation where she studied, lived with them, amongst them for years, or just be like, listen, all of us researchers are out there doing the work. And honestly, at the end of the day, none of us are scientists and none of us have that degree background to collect DNA properly, to do all this stuff. We can do our best is what we do. But at the end of the day, do you think it's going to take a body, shot and brought one in? If it hasn't happened already, I mean, let's just be honest about that also.
Yeah, I mean, first off, I really do think that it has happened. I think that it's happened more than once. As much as I hate it, and it goes against everything that I really practice in the woods and everything, I really think that it's going to take a body. It's either going to take a body or a piece of a body, maybe a foot, a hand, a head would be ideal. Um, but yeah, I really do think that it's going to take a body, and I'm like Wall said, and like you said, I'm definitely on this side of if it's a biological creature. It's I don't buy into the woo side of it at all. But as much as I hate to admit it, yeah, and the reason I say that is because we at Manimal, we are no kill. When we say we're no kill, that just means that we are never going to put a mission together to go out with the purpose of killing one and bringing it back. We do go out in the woods armed. We will not go out into the woods without some kind of protection on our hip, and that's not just for Bigfoot. That there's a lot of things out in the woods that can get you.
Yeah.
So we do go out armed, and we would protect ourselves at all costs if one of these things was to come at us and get aggressive. But we're never going to set out with the mindset of we're going out to kill one and bring it back. But to answer your question, I do think it's going to take a body.
Yeah, this is such an interesting question. So I'm gonna bring in let's see. Here's a question that was just in the chat room that's interesting. Mike Patrick from Bigfoot Experiences, great guy. He says tranquilizer dart, gather a blood sample, hair sample, skin sample, then release. My question then to this, because I agree. Once again, I'm a no-kill proponent, but let's be honest. We send the hair sample in, we send the blood sample in, we send the skin sample in. Do you honestly think that they're going to report back to us that, oh, by the way, you do have an undocumented species that we don't know what it is, and are they're not going to give us that information?
No, I agree with you 100%, and that's something we actually here recently have collected a hair sample in the woods. We were going to talk to you about that tonight. A good friend of mine, Daryl Owen, also a member of Manimal Research, he and I and his wife were out on an expedition, and we found a good-sized clump of hair hanging from a branch that we got a tape measure out and measured was 7.5 feet off the ground.
Okay.
So we have a hair sample in our possession right now, and I've talked to a couple of people. I'm in the process of getting that sent to some people. Not all of it, obviously, but some strands to be analyzed. And I'll talk to you after the show to maybe you can give me another direction that we can go with sending it. But yeah.
Yeah, no, and that's great. And these are the questions that we need to talk about. You know what I mean? We can only talk about sightings and things so much, but when it gets to the nitty-gritty of research, this is the stuff that we really need to talk about. You know what I mean? I can tell you, I've sent blood samples in, okay, and I think I've spoken to this in the past. I have the ability to send blood samples in. I sent a blood sample in. Now, let's be honest. Do you really think I got a right answer back? No, I didn't. They kind of just, I sent the sample in, and then I got a crappy ass report back on it. All right. I didn't think it was Bigfoot anyway, but still, hypothetically, even if it was, they're not going to give us that information. And that's just my opinion. Because once again, if it is a giant cover up like we talk about constantly, then why are they going to give everyday people that information?
Yeah, exactly.
And I have Mike Patrick said, yes, send it to Dr. Meldrum. Now, I love Dr. Meldrum. He is what we need in this field, a scientist. Dr. Skykes, he just passed away, and he was doing all the DNA analysis out of over the pond, over in England, on Bigfoot subject. Melba Ketchum does those things, but her name's been kind of run through the mud, which at the end of the day, I don't get involved in that. But even with these scientists on board with us, that it's gonna, are they gonna take these people seriously? That's the key thing. Jasper, what do you think about that?
Well, I was thinking about that, the tranquilizer and everything. It might be a good idea, but you really don't know if these things are supposed to be 7 foot to 8 foot, almost 12 foot tall, and these are pure muscle. You don't know exactly how much tranquilizer you're going to put in them. It's going to either it's going to piss them off because it's going to be like a bee sting, or one, it's going to knock them out, and you might not can't wake them back up, and then you have a body. Then it comes down to the law that they come after you and going, you're being fined. You're going to be put in jail for killing a Bigfoot. You're like, what? And then that may put it out there because unless they cover the news up, because that'll be the thing. To have it coming out, you're going to do a tranquilizer or something like that. You might as well just go ahead and go hold 9 yards. You might as well just go ahead and have it, film it, get it on film, and send it out to the news and say, hey, this is it, before the government does come get you. Because if you don't, you'll disappear.
Correct.
I'm firmly believing that you will disappear. You will be fined. You'll be gagged. You'll be everything. And they'll be watching you. Like they're probably watching that now. I mean,
oh yeah, and I believe that fully. Like I said, and what we're finding and what we're doing and those kind of things and intercepting everything. And once again, like Mike Patrick said, if we take it to the next level, if they get a sample, maybe they have to report it to the feds and intergovernment workings, the black ops that we talk about in ufology or whatever, all that kind of stuff. And we just never see it again. And they give us, crap DNA, like, Diane says, we'll come back moose or deer or are contaminated. That's probably the big one. Oh, it's contaminated, so we're not even going to give you an answer because you screwed up, taking it. So those are probably the answers that we would end up getting with something like that. And I can tell you from working as a licensed veterinary technician in the animal field that just to get a sedative, it's almost impossible. Like when you're talking like something, like ketamine and things like that we use, for anesthesia purposes and those kind of things. So to get that anesthetic, and then, Derek and Jasper, you bring it up perfectly. How much do we even give something? Can you give it the same as a bear? Problem is there metabolisms faster? So maybe a bear metabolism, even though it's a bigger creature, it's slower. So they can take more of a tranquilizer, unlike a being that may be, metabolized differently. You're starting to get into the anatomy sciences that, once again, we don't even have a specimen to even compare. Almost like, the COVID vaccine, we're just basically getting the new COVID vaccine and we're testing it. We're just test subjects for it. So it's kind of the same thing. So awesome. I mean, and it's always a good subject to talk. Now, I was reading on the Facey Space today, and, my good friend Edward Monge posted up on his Bigfoot Quest page, why can't we find a body? And it's true. Like, why as researchers can we not find any kind of body? Like, we see the prints. Okay, you get the prints, you get the hand prints, you guys got hair. You know what I mean? I got a blood sample. We find that weird stuff, in the random spots. But why do you think that we still can't find a body?
I actually have an idea on that one. And I think, and this is going to kind of go off in the left field a little bit, because a lot of our places we go, as like I've said, other people have done it. They're attracted somehow to a cemetery. Sometimes there's more activity towards a cemetery. I think if they have bodies, or one of them's passed away, I think they're taking them and they're using these old cemeteries. I think they're burying them in there because they know that, hey, you know what? Nobody will be here. Nobody's going to touch this. And I don't think you hear any too many by a grave robber being, disappearing from these out of the cemeteries out in the woods. You find out when they're in these big areas where you can be seen. And I think they're using these old cemeteries for burials for their own people too. I mean, it's an idea. It's a far-fetched. It could be far-fetched, but just thinking, okay, our sightings, our things are happening near cemeteries. Why not they have somebody there watching? They have a unit there watching. They know they're keeping an eye on it. It's sacred to them.
Yeah. No,
or Indian burial grounds.
Amazing.
or you got an Indian burial ground. You can't go on land there. You get, that's even bigger things.
Yeah,
So, I
it
mean,
might be a bit far-fetched to start speculating on where they're burying them, but I think you and I both agree that they do bury their dead. There's been reports of people witnessing that over the years. I've talked to people. One in particular is Miss Janice Carter, who has become good friends of our research group, Manimal Research. We've had her on a couple of times, and she is one that has claimed to actually witness them burying their dead. So that's why I think we haven't found a body yet, and that question is going to get asked a million times between now and till we actually find one and start getting some answers. It's always going to be asked, and I think it's one of the silliest questions that skeptics can pose, because Gary, you go out in the woods. You're out in the woods all the time with all the stuff that you do. No, mad respect to you. As much time as you get to spend out there, how many dead bears have you come across in your years?
Nothing. I never come across a dead bear. Never. Every once in a while, that's a very once in a while, I'll come across a deer carcass. And the deer carcasses that I come across, I believe, were from hunting accidents. And that's, missed arrow hitting the wrong spot. They didn't find them, something like that, or maybe shot and they just couldn't find them. But no, you're 100% right. I don't come across too many.
And I believe it was Grover Krantz who, when asked sometime, and I could be mistaken, but I did hear this from someone. I think it was Grover Krantz when asked how many Bigfoot there are, like what kind of population we have in North America. Someone, like I said, maybe Grover Krantz, said that in his opinion there was one Bigfoot for every 100 black bear that we see in the woods. So if it's one Sasquatch for every 100 black bear, and you've never seen a dead bear, I've never seen one, Walls hadn't, and most of us haven't. If there's one Bigfoot for every 100 of them, that just kind of tells you just this how microscopic the chance is that you would even run across a body.
Yep, no, it's 100%. And Loretta, like she says, yep, it's rare to come across any dead animal in the woods, let alone a creature we're trying to find. And Mike Patrick from Bigfoot Experiences, once again, he even says, what about burying them in caves? Maybe there's some caves and some underground things like that they could go through. Jasper brings up a very interesting point with the cemetery thing. Now, I can attest to something when it comes to cemeteries, as far as we do get Bigfoot sightings in cemeteries. And it's actually in New York, it's actually more commonplace than you really think, which is super weird to me. I always put it as, is it an energy thing? Are they drawn to it because these places are high energy? Is it a spiritual thing? As we know, we always see and feel weird things in the woods, when we're out there. We can all probably attest to that in some way, shape, or form. Or, like you say, I never really thought about that, is do they actually bury them in these areas? I come across, just like you guys probably do, many family plot cemeteries in the woods that are desecrated. You know what I mean? There's the tombstones are over on the ground, and like Jasper said, you would never know unless you kind of stumble across them. It's not like people are taking care of them. So now, that's curious. That's a curious theory. And that will, and this is why I like to ask this question, not to prove the skeptic. I mean, the skeptics are going to think whatever they want. I just don't care. All three of us here, I could probably say we know Bigfoot exists in one way, shape, or form. So we never argue that point per se. But, it's important, though, to be coming up with these theories, so then we can test the theory. So, like Jasper's theory of the cemeteries, and then we have to start testing that theory and being like, all right, we have all these plots in the woods. Is this where is the ground disturbed? Is there something different now in that area that shouldn't be there? I think one thing that we don't do as researchers is we're constantly out there trying to get the best evidence possible. trying to get the photos, trying to get the whoop calls, trying to get tree knocks, rocks thrown. We're trying to get all that cool stuff to happen. But a lot of us, we don't always like look for these type of things. Is there a burial mound somewhere that maybe is disturbed or something like that? It's an interesting thing to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. You're right. And I believe it was, I mentioned Janice Carter. She told us that she witnessed one burying a baby, a dead baby that had passed, and she talked about digging the hole like 10 foot deep.
Oh, wow.
And then and burying it and then putting a boulder on top of it.
Oh, wow.
I mean, you just don't know.
Yeah. No, I mean,
I got another. That brings something about, you see these structures and you're saying a burying like that. What if some of these structures that we're finding? What if it's a tombstone kind of thing? It just popped in my head. I was like, you know what? Well, some of these marks, especially if they're way out and could be, we find these X's. Maybe the X is a marker, and it could be a marker for two things. Could be one, hey, there's a body under there. This is where we buried him. This is where he loved to be. But other than that, to everybody else, it's like a marker. Yeah, there's Bigfoot here.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's a great point. I mean, once again, that's another very valid, great point, because we're always talking about tree bends and tree structures and rock structures and rock carrying. We talk about this till we're blue. But like you say, these are the theories and possibilities that these things could be. Where we think an X may be like a territory area or something like along those lines. It could be, well, just so you know, this could be our graveyard. It's like you just don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's an awesome point, Walls. I don't know why you never brought that up with when it was just us. But yeah,
it just popped in my head. I was just thinking about it.
This is what brainstorming does. You know what I mean? That's what I say. We ask these questions because we brainstorm together, and they just magically pop in. This is what's great about doing this show with them.
Maybe I need to do show at work more often.
So, all right. So what have you guys been up to? Like, what kind of research and things have you been finding down in your area, the neck of the woods?
Well, I mentioned that hair. That was really, really exciting. That was my first, personally, that was my most significant find. And again, give props to Daryl Owen, who was with me and actually was the one that spotted it. But finding that hair was awesome. And we actually went out on a group expedition, not this past weekend, but the weekend before, January 1st. We actually went out in the woods for a 2-day trip. Went camping with, I think there was 5 of us, all Manimal members, and got some action. We have a short video up from that night. Got some whoops, some tree knocks, and actually one of our members, Mr. Kenneth, is pretty sure that he had a sighting that morning. He ended up sleeping in his truck. Just to stay warm, basically, because it was cold. But he slept in his truck, and he forgot to cut his alarm off on his phone. So at 5 o'clock in the morning, his alarm started going off, and it woke him up. So when that happened, he looked up on the ridge that he was parked across from, and he's just waking up, trying to focus, wiping the sleep out of his eyes and everything, and he's confident that he saw something bipedal take a couple steps behind a tree and then a couple more steps behind another tree and then disappear over the ridge. So he's comfortable enough to say that he had his first sighting up there. So that was exciting.
No, that's super awesome. And like I say, those individual sightings are they're so individual to the person. So like that was his aha moment for himself.
You got anything you want to add, Walls?
Hang on one second, guys.
Okay, yeah, I'll keep going. before that, we went on a even bigger expedition with Miss Janice Carter and her daughter and a good friend of theirs and a good friend of ours, Ninja Dave, who also does research. I want to say what's up to them. They went with us. Walls was with us, and that night was absolutely crazy. That that was the only time that we've been doing this that we were actually pushed out of an area and called it a night
Oh,
and left. We packed our stuff up at 2 o'clock in the morning and left because it was we just had that feeling something bad was going to happen,
Mm-hmm.
and all the evidence that we had collected over not physical evidence, but the things that we heard and we witnessed. It was big. That trip was big. We had 2 trees pushed over in the same day, and I've never had a tree pushed over. Have you experienced that, Gary?
No, I mean not. I've had them shake, but not pushed over.
We had 2 different trees in 2 different areas, about 30 miles apart, 2 different research areas, in the same day, fall over or pushed over or something, and that's never happened to me before. Not even one tree, and to have it happen twice in one day, and all the other stuff that happened. Yeah, we got out of there. Yeah, you got anything you want to add, buddy?
if you were talking about the freak knot, um, that was definitely the wildest so far, by far. And I don't know if it's something that whatever, and this one had us looking for the Bigfoot, but we also came across some type of, I'm gonna put it out there, we had some type of paranormal going on too. I believe something was crazy going on because you just usually I don't leave places like that, and Wayne will tell you I stand my ground. And we was walking and going to check and see what's going on, checking these other people out there because there were so many people there, and walking back up, and it's just something in was saying, "Hey, just go ahead and get your stuff and go." And I'm sitting there like I'm looking around, and I'm going, "Why? It's nothing here." And it's just something just kept pushing, saying you need to go. And I don't know if people can say you're gonna have the skeptics say I'm probably talking out my butt, but I think if these Bigfoots can talk with their heads and their minds, I think they were telling us something's dangerous, something's that you need to go, and they were making the motions and sending that that wave out and going, "You got to go, man. We're trying to protect you. Get out of here." And that's what we did. But as soon as we got left that area, and we were in separate cars, as soon as we left that area, I was so damn angry because we left, and I usually am one who wants to stand the ground and go, "I want to know what this is." And after that, everything kind of went downhill a little bit for a while for me because there was things that happened at the house, and those things that happened with me. And Wayne can vouch for that. I mean, I snapped on him for just out of the blue. And he's like, "Something wrong with you?" And I came out and told him, I said, "Yeah, dude, this is what's bugging me because I've had a bad past." And, Wayne knows my past. And I think somehow paranormal is with them. I think it's something is connected. I mean, everything's connected in a circle. But that night was probably one of the top best investigations we've had. We've had some good investigations. But I think right now, as with so much activity, that's probably the top one right now. I'm hoping we get more because I know I'm anxious and itching to go back to where Wayne had that encounter with something that laughed at him. That one is what I really want to get to. And there's so much activity going on. That's the one place that's just saying it's like something drawing me there. Like you want to find this out. But that's also, according to what I've looked up, there's also known as the Dogman area down there. So I don't know what I'm be getting into, So yeah, that's my take on everything. I mean,
no, that's fine. And here at the New York Bigfoot Society, you can talk paranormal and Bigfoot and ufology and Bigfoot, and all of our guests are cool with it because none of us know what this is yet, even though we all have our own ideas. And like you say, I'm the big one that says I'm a flesh and blood guy. But now look at me personally. I'm out doing paranormal stuff that I would never do in 1,000 years. And, Jasper, I know exactly what you're talking about. I've been in the woods enough where you try to be macho and manly as much as you can. But when in Wayne, I'm sure you can vouch for it. When it's time to leave, it's time to leave. You can only, there's that instinct that you have regardless. It says like, we need to get out of here. And it's just time to leave.
Yeah, there's that fine line between brave and stupid, and Walls straddles that line every time we go out. I wonder, what is that boy doing?
Awesome.
That's all I can say. I mean,
so most of them I have to hold his hand and like, come on, man, get over it, let's go.
because I'm the logical thinker. You are the opposite of that. And I mean, that might be why we work so well together,
No, that's the way it has to be. It has to be that way. Like my boy Kenney. Kenney keeps me grounded. You know what I mean? He's like, I'm this big gung-ho outdoorsman. But Kenny's like, yo, dude, just chill. Like, you know what I mean? You got to have that person. So it's like, you guys have the perfect mix. The yin and the yang.
Yeah.
I sent pictures to Wayne. I had my anniversary, and I went up towards the area that was close to our area. It probably maybe maybe 5 miles down the road, but I was up in the woods, no internet, no nothing, no whatsoever at this cabin we stayed at. I didn't go up there looking, but somehow they found me, and that blew my mind. And then my wife was there, and then we actually went and got one of the girls that came back, and both of them heard something and swear that they saw a black figure in the woods where I was checking out an X mark and a footprint. And I was like, are you serious? Which I turned around, like I told Wayne, I turned around and I said, look, man, I'm on anniversary. Leave me alone. I'm not coming out here bugging you. Don't come bugging me. This is my anniversary. And they're not too skeptic no more of them. And they're like, we saw something. And I was like, well, I believe you probably did. Something might have been there. But yeah, it's been, and I would say there's some things like when Kenney saw that saw that sighting, I also heard, I got woke up of something chattering.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah.
And it's not the first time. The first time I heard chatter was when we was with Janice at my friend's place. And I said, are you talking to him? And I would sit still, close my eyes, let my body relax. And I would hear chatter on both sides of my ears. I'm on. And Wayne would be standing right next to me. I said, you didn't hear that right there? Man, I don't hear nothing. And my hair would be standing on my back. I'm like, dude, that is freaking awesome. I heard it right here. I hear chatter over here. And I heard that up there when we did that investigation. And it was almost like we were getting communicated, because we did play the box on my Bluetooth. I brought it. We tried a thing, played some sounds, and I think we made contact a little bit, because I heard the same sounds with that thing being off, and the next morning hearing that something walking up the road.
Gary, have you ever tried that in your investigations, broadcasting sounds?
Oh yeah, that's a huge thing that we do. That's actually what we're doing right now. Is a lot of things right now that we're doing Native American drumming and Native American flute music. And what I can tell you from the data, how I'm a very database person. Data is coming back, and the facts are, when we play Native American drumming, I'm 4 for 4 in responses. 4 for 4. Now,
what kind of responses are you talking?
There we go. That's what I'm getting to next. So the responses are a mixed bag of responses. All right. The first responses, we were getting orbs in the woods. So we played the drumming, we stopped. Next thing you know, balls of light started popping up in the woods. Kenney was present when we did this. Now, Kenney, once again, is very logical like I am. And he'll tell you that story. He'll be like, I can't explain what that was, but I know what I saw. Same thing. So we saw balls of light followed by samurai chatter. Okay, so we had the chatter coming in. So whatever that correlation was, I don't know, but we had chatter. Then we had orbs. Second time we played the drum music. All the batteries died. So we played the drum music in the woods. 5 minutes into a recording, the recorder died. 5 minutes. That's it. Jasper, this goes on your point. Where were we doing Bigfoot research at that point in time? Near a cemetery. Okay. Once again, I've been looking in those areas for a very long time. It's kind of a side thing that I do. So that's why I can relate to what you're saying, because I've been doing that for a long time. And 5 minutes in, boom. So what happened was drum music. I did a whoop call. Then boom, the recorder died. 5 minutes. I then tested the batteries. Now, once again, I battery test all my batteries with a battery tester. They were all 100%. I use ion lithium batteries. I use good batteries, brand new batteries. Upon then the next day, we thought maybe it was the cold, right? So it was 33 degrees out. The day after I tested the batteries, it was only 26 degrees out. All the recorders ran fine for 7 minutes, and all the batteries were full. I even took one recorder, had half battery life in them, thinking they're going to die. We'll be done. Good. Nothing. So the long story short, we've gotten a mixed bag of responses in the woods playing drum music. I've gotten tree knocks back, okay, playing drum music. And then the big one that I do notice when we play sounds in the woods, the environment changes. Do you guys ever feel that? Like you play those sounds, and now we're getting into like the paranormal, but this is more of just like a human aspect. Do you ever notice that the woods change at all?
We've only done it that one time. That was on this last expedition, because I've been nervous about trying it, because what we played was the Sierra sounds. We played the samurai chatter. That's why I've been nervous, because we don't know what they're saying. Correct. In that thing. You know, we could be cussing a Bigfoot out. But we wanted that. We wanted, if something was going to get a response, what is most likely going to? So I thought that would be it. So we broke the ice with that one, and didn't. I mean, I didn't have anything like you're talking about happening.
Yeah, I didn't see. That's the one thing people tell me to play them all the time, and I'm like, Ron Moorhead himself has said don't play them. And like you said, you bring up the valid point why I personally don't, because I don't know what that means. And you know, I don't go out in the woods with weapons, because in New York we can't really do that like you guys can down south, because New York is stickler when it comes, you know, it's New York. So you know, so I've never really ventured to do that, because I just don't know what those are. Now this goes into my next question, because once again we hear that the East Coast Bigfoot, all right, so the southern Bigfoot, the Northeast Bigfoot, is a lot more aggressive than the west, than, you know, out in the Pacific Northwest. We hear that our Bigfoots on this side seem to really get a lot more physical, as far as like banging on things. They test it. Perfect example, like you said, like if you know, you had a, you know, the Bigfoot was trying to either help you that night get out of the woods because it's something paranormal, or vice versa. You know, you came across something that's like, yo, listen, get out of here. I'm going to start pushing trees down. Have you noticed, because we get on this side of the country, the extreme behavior, where you don't really see the same thing out in, like, you know, the Olympic Project and out that stuff out that way. They don't get the same behaviors as we do here. Do you notice, like, do you notice that they're more aggressive on the East Coast?
I don't think so. I think they're more settled down here, because they know they have a lot more, I guess, they know there's a lot more hunters, I guess, out here in that way, I guess. I mean, I know there's people hunts in the north, but you got a lot of the wildness out here. You got a lot more campers, because the weather's different and warmer sometimes. I mean, I ain't really noticed anything. I mean, the most aggressive thing, we've been in the trees falling. That's the most aggressive thing we've really had. I mean, we did have something mimicking it. I think we had something coming too close to the camp that mimicked a dog. Because we tried to get it on camera, but it wasn't picking up. But we literally had a dog bark right next to the camp. I mean,
Yeah,
we was like, that is not a coon hunting. That's something just walked by us and trying to intimidate. But as of right now, I mean,
yeah. Let's word it a little different. In our experience, we haven't had the aggressive actions, the aggressive behavior. In our experience, I've certainly heard down here in the South that they can be aggressive and show some aggression, but I think the aggressive ones tend to be like the rogue males. So in our experience, in our investigations, we haven't found that to be the case.
Okay.
That they're more aggressive.
Yeah, and
I've only heard the one case when we found out about up on one of the mountains that was on the other side, supposed to have been a rogue Bigfoot chasing people out. Mm-hmm. So I'm with Wayne on that one. I haven't heard any. That's the only thing I've heard.
Yeah, up in New York, we've had the big thing in New York was they were killing dogs left and right. Once again, Bigfoots and dogs, they do not go hand in hand. We hear these stories mostly all on the East Coast. Once again, this is an East Coast thing. We don't hear about that in the West Coast as much. But I can tell you in New York, a lot of the things where people's dogs were getting snapped in half, torn apart. We get the reports up here of whatever that reason. I mean, once again, we don't know, but it almost reminds me of, I wonder if they do the same to coyotes, because I do believe Bigfoots and coyotes go hand in hand.
You brought that up. You brought that question up before too, Walls.
The coyote thing?
Yeah, they kind of work together.
Yep.
Yeah, because I think the Bigfoot uses the coyote to mimic it, but he also uses it to disguise him, disguise his call. Because if you notice, sometimes if you're in an area that that there's well-known coyotes there, they always react to the howl. They always howl back. How we know if that's not really a coyote or not just a Bigfoot mimicking one coming back? But yeah, I think they do go hand in hand. I think they help them. I think they help with the deer hunts and everything. I think they do. I think they help them.
How do you think they correlate?
I agree with him. That's one of my go-tos. Follow the coyotes, you find a Bigfoot. And what I mean by that is they go hand in hand. Bigfoot's a scavenger. Okay, it would be a scavenger. It can't use all its energy at all points in time to hunt deer and track all these things. They're scavengers. That's why they come into your backyards, go through your garbage, eat your chickens, things like that. I mean, it's easy pickings. So What I personally believe is what happens when the coyotes kill something. They explode in the woods. You can hear them miles away. If there's a squatch around, guess what that is? A dinner bell. All the squatch would have to do is slowly get its butt over there. Well, not slowly, but move over there, take the kill, and then walk away. Coyotes, even as a pack animal, I just don't see them because, once again, a squatch has hands. So because a squatch has hands, it can rip things in half and do what it needs to do. And you're talking about a tall creature, not something short. So because it's tall, it would make logical sense to me as a flesh and blood creature being a scavenger. They have that relationship.
So you don't think they necessarily work together? You think Bigfoot use coyotes to their advantage?
It is a work. Yeah, it is a work together. It still is. It's like, once again, I don't think okay, let me rephrase this. I don't think that they like each other per se. You know what I mean? But I think what it is once again, it's that relationship of wildlife in the woods. So when they make that kill, the Bigfoot's automatically going to hear that, So then he's going to go in, kind of almost like with orca whales. orca whales are the only animal that's been known to kill a great white shark. Great white sharks are scavengers. Okay, they're one of the biggest things on the planet, and they scavenge everything. Same thing with the lions, all the main alpha predators. So to me, a squatch being an alpha predator would do the same. It would have to. So, and as you know, and maybe they can mimic the coyote sounds. You know, a lot of times we do hear that they can mimic bird sounds and the chirping and those kind of things. So, you know, it would logically make sense that they may be able to mimic. So I do think I think Bigfoots and coyotes do go hand in hand, because it just makes logical sense.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, man, that does make sense. It does.
And that's why I've always said to people, follow the coyotes and you'll find Bigfoot. And the reason I say that, I have found in coyote kills, you know, when a coyote kills something, if you've ever seen one, everything, you see hair shredded all over the place. But guess what I've seen at coyote kills? Bigfoot tracks. That's why I say that, because I have firsthand knowledge of seeing it. Seeing is believing.
Wow.
So that would tell me, and I wasn't there to witness it, but I have to think logically, that more than likely that Bigfoot came through and took what the coyotes were eating. And especially if it's a deer or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe not a rabbit or something, but if it's like large enough, I mean, they're scavengers. They're going to eat whatever they can.
Right. And which they also could use them to herd a deer to them too, because they say, you know, ambush spots. Why not be able to tell a coyote if they can talk to them, hey, run him this way, you're going to get this, so I'm going to take care of you, this and that. I mean, there's all kinds of ideas. I mean, all you got to do is sit and wait. You're going to run the deer right to him. Hand streets out there, breaks the neck, that's done.
Now, here's a good question, and we'll wrap up the show on this. One of my researchers on my team is a survivalist. He's a bush guy. He's a woods guy. We always talk about this subject. What do you think a Bigfoot and a bear's relationship is? Now, bears being, especially a big Bruin, you know, bears once again rule the woods. All right, you don't want to come across the bears in the woods. You're talking about size and strength and every other thing. So, what would your take be on that relationship?
I don't think that they have one. I think that Sasquatch is the king of the forest, king of the woods. I think that bears are afraid of them. You know, I don't really think that they have that kind of a relationship. I mean, it's obviously purely speculation. You know, I have nothing to base that off of. It's just that's what I would think.
What about you, Jasper?
I think they have I think there's some type of respectable mutual between them, because I think a bear can defend himself against a Bigfoot, because pound for pound, you get slapped by a bear, you're gonna feel it, especially a grizzly bear. There's not much they're fearful of. I mean, you can go to Animal Planet and see them where they've actually took on an alligator and a crocodile, and you know that's even dangerous more than a bear can do. But I think they have a mutual sometime relationship that, look, because nobody really has found a bear carcass. You go bear hunting, it's hard to find them. It's hard to find a Bigfoot, and you can't find a bear carcass. So I think there's something there.
So you think they have a mutual respect?
I think they do. I think it's more like it's, you know, like you said, Bigfoot's the king. The next level down is the bear. It's the circle of life. It's like, hey, I'm below you. That's fine. I'll do my part. You do your thing. Leave me the hell alone. We'll leave it there.
Yeah, I mean, and Angela Nolan, she says bear and Sasquatch mutual respect. You know, Mike Patrick, mutual respect. I agree too in the fact of, I guess, you know, being both alpha predators in the woods, and like Jasper says, if anything is going to mess up a Sasquatch, it's going to be two animals, in my opinion. One being a bear, okay? Because if you say pound for pound, it doesn't matter how big you are. It only takes one big smack, and the bear's going to tear you up, okay? Because we see what they do to, like, cabins. They destroy cabins in the middle of winter. Number two, I believe a mountain lion would. Mountain lions are such stealth in the woods. Like you don't even know mountain lions and cougars exist in the woods until they come up on you. So in my opinion, if I'm looking at the alpha predators, those two are going to be, and I guess if you're in Florida with the skunk ape, then the big crocodiles, because you don't know, they come out of the water like out of nowhere.
Well, you also got pythons down there too, so.
Yeah, and you have the big snakes that just come out of nowhere. But
Yeah.
but for me in like these areas that we research, I would say the bears and the mountain lions. But I think it's a mutual respect. Like they know. I feel like they would know that they can both mess each other up really bad, and if we say a Sasquatch is as smart as it is for infectious reasons and things like that, it would definitely know that it could get messed up and possibly die just from infection alone.
Right.
So they probably have that mutual respect that they, stay away from each other. But I'm always curious because we talk about this on the team that, if it comes to a kill now, because it always comes to food in the woods, I wonder who would win that battle. You know what I mean? Because everything's about.
I think the bear is probably going to back down because I think he would sense the other two Sasquatches around. I think they would sense that and go, okay, I'm outnumbered. You know what? Here you go. I'm going to put up a fight in this one because I'm going to lose. Because a Sasquatch is not always by himself. A bear, more than likely, is by himself.
Yep.
A Sasquatch, no, he's always got some backup somewhere. Yep. I mean, it was like if in logic of looking at over in Africa, hippos and crocodiles are in the same pond.
Mm-hmm.
They have mutual respect with each other. They don't mess with each other. A hippo is known to be the deadliest animal out there that's killed humans.
Yep.
Now, how you figure that when it's a crocodile that drives you down and spins and everything. A hippo snap you in two.
Yep.
And you don't see them fighting hardly with each other. You don't see them, you don't hardly see a crocodile getting a hippo. But if you do, that crocodile is probably going to get stomped because most of the time the herd is after him.
Yep.
I mean, that's how I look at it. That's how I kind of match them put together is look at the hippo and the alligator, the crocodile. They're together. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I think it's the same. But, yeah, I think a bear will back down because he'll sense the other ones around.
Yep. And these are important things even though we're all speculating, you know what I mean? Like, these are important things we need to talk about as researchers because, once again, when we're in the woods, we never know what we're going to come across. We never know. It's a possibility that we come across a bear and a Bigfoot at the same time. Like, we don't think about these things, from the outside because when we're in the woods, we're in the woods, But you never know. Same thing with coyotes. You come across a pack of coyotes because we come across them in the woods and you hear them. Who knows if there's a huge alpha male squatch sitting there that may be a lot more aggressive at that point in time because you're talking food. You're not talking a cuddly big thing like all these people talk about. You're talking about a serious situation that may happen. So these are good conversations to have. We always push the envelope with these conversations because it can happen. It just can happen. Even though it's like minute, you just got to always, talk about it.
Right.
All right. So Wayne, what do you guys got anything? So we're getting close to the end here. Do you guys got anything going on in the future or to close out here? Like,
yeah, we got another expedition coming up on the 6th of February. We'll be going into White County, Georgia area. It's a real hot spot in that area. So that's the next expedition we have planned. We have teams in other states that go out and do their own thing. So can't really speak for them. But in closing, again, want to thank you, Gary, for allowing us to come back and talk. We always love talking Bigfoot. We take every chance we can to do that. But I want to ask everybody to go check out our YouTube channel. It's Manimal Research, and Manimal has 2 N's in it. Down there you can see under my name. That's how you spell Manimal and Research. And like I said, we just went over 1,000 subscribers, so we're happy about that. And we also have a Facebook group welcome people to come and join. And manimalresearch.com is our website where you can get info on the group and report your encounter and maybe talk to us about coming on the show. So yeah, that's our little plug.
That's awesome. Jasper, any last thoughts?
Well, sorry for being late, and then I'm at work.
Sorry, I lost Kenny. We're good.
It was basically take the load and miss money out, and I got to make some money to keep mama happy. So it was one of those things like I can get here, but it's trucking.
Listen, home life first. It's always about home life first. So
I was thinking about trying to go out this weekend, but the temperatures here are pretty bad, and I think Wayne can't do it. I was going to try to go out and just do I wanted to go out and do something, just to fiddle-faddle around, something normal, hang out. But I've changed my mind because a lot of people's busy, and I may try. I'm thinking about doing it. I don't know what. I'll try to do something next week and just go out one night or one day and just hang out, camp, and see what happens. I'm thinking about a place where I actually did my first encounter, or I had my encounter. I'm thinking about going there and doing maybe a video or two, and maybe check the area and see if anything's walked through lately. It's been a while. I ain't been there since. So, and if you do get out, be careful. Definitely be careful out there. It is cold. Stay warm, and don't go out trying to kill something. Don't try to, don't do anything crazy. I mean, I do some weird stuff and crazy things, but I'm not out there to try to kill them. I'm there to find them. I wouldn't mind giving them slap them on the butt again, but that might be far-fetched too.
We're all weird doing this stuff. I mean, at the end of the day, we're talking Bigfoot. So, it's just weird even to say that sometimes. Yeah. Even though we know it's real. We know it's real, but it's still weird.
Right.
But awesome, guys. Awesome. Well, definitely keep us posted. We'll definitely have you back on like we always we do, and keep us, we want to know what's going on down there. Because like we said, we like to compare notes between the different states, and especially, what you guys do. We have a lot of respect for your work. It's great to see how far you've come. Footer Nation, NYBS Army, go and like their page. Go and like their YouTube page. Let's get over 2,000. Let's get them to 2,000.
Heck yeah.
Let's do it. Yeah. Listen, the NYBS Army, they're great people. We have a great set of people here. So listen, they'll support you like they support us. Awesome. Well, not a problem. This is what we're here for. Teamwork. Teamwork is dream work. And that's it. Good people, good conversation, doing the work. And that's what it's about. Boots on the ground, doing the work. Who cares what we find as long as we're out doing the work? There's never a bad day out in the woods. Even if you have to run out of the woods. Even if you run out of the woods, still not a bad day. You still got out there. You still got out there. That's all that matters. More than a lot of people. All right, Footer Nation. Well, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. All right. As I always say, keep it squatchy, and we'll see you out on the trail. Deuces, everyone.